Let's revise smooth that we did earlier this week. I'm going to start with the basic riff, something that should sound like this when it's ready. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. Now the purpose for me counting 2, 3, 4, 1 between each phrase, there's basically 4 phrases, is to help you get an understanding of the timing and the gaps between each phrase. Now I'm assuming you've got your PDF file in front of you that you can see your tab on this, where it says smooth, and let's focus on your fretting hand, what needs to be played and done. Now fingers are numbered, make sure you use the same fingers as me. Also, we're starting with fret number 12, which is a double dot. Okay, I didn't have a double dot there, but at the top of the guitar, you can see I've got a double dot, single dot, fret 15 over there, for example. So fret 12 is your double dot. It's the middle part of your guitar neck. It's the center of the string. Now, the first phrase, which is going to sound like this. You can also use fingers 1 and 3 instead for the last part. Not too fussy with that one. But the first 12, 14 starts with a hammer on. So I pick the 12, and you'll notice my pick now isn't going to pick the next note. My third finger simply just hammers on. And then you go to the 12 underneath it. So the first 3 notes come back to the 14, and then on the PDF is a very small 12 leading to the 14, the last 2 notes of the first phrase. And the purpose for the small font is that the 2 notes must sound like one beat. So you hear the effect of hammering on from the last 12 to the 14. So this would be wrong. 2 definite notes, and this would be the effect of 2 notes sounding as if it were one beat. So I'm going to change the angle a bit there, get a bit of a different sort of view, and we're going to play it through slowly. 2, 3, 4, 1. There's your first phrase. Now I just want to focus quickly on the picking hand, because the picking hand needs to make sure that your guitar is really quiet. So what I'm doing there is you can actually see fingers 2 and 3 are actually resting on those strings so they can't make a noise. And the purpose there is with high gain or with distortion overdrive, if I don't do that, and I've got a whole lot of other noise coming inside there. So the purpose of these fingers is to control the strings, you don't get noise. And you'll also notice the side of my thumb is touching on the top strings as well. So it's a very small part that's actually allowed to be played. So it's a very accurate precision with your picking hand to make sure your strings are quiet. Now, if you don't have overdrive, you might have a sound like this, for example. Also sounds cool, it just means you don't have an overdrive or distortion system, and it would sound sort of similar on the acoustic as well. But I'm switching back to electric because it sounds quite cool, and I like the sound of the overdrive. Okay, first phrase, one more time with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, now to view back to the fretting hand, and time for phrase number 2. Now, this one introduces the harmonic minor scale. In other words, this 13 I'm playing here isn't from the natural minor, but I'm not going to go into theory now, that puts it and make it boring. We're simply going to learn the phrase 13, 14, 12, starting on 3rd string, 13, 14. The 12 is on the 2nd string, and if you look at the page, the 13 is in brackets, and above it, it says bend and release. So I'm going to go, which is the same as if I picked it, but instead of going to 13, I bend the 12 to sound like the 13, and then I unbend it, which is the correct term is called release. I don't like the word release because release sort of implies releasing, but that's the terminology they use. It's sort of returning the bent note back to normal. That's the 12, 13, 12. And you're going to come back from there onto the 14, 13. So you're sort of reversing the phrase from the 13 up to the bend and release back to the 13 before the last 3 notes. So I'm going to play it through slowly. And then we're going to have a nice hammer on the 2nd string, 12, 13. and we finish the phrase on the 14 on the third string. So the entire second phrase again. That's your second phrase. Now we go to the next line, which has got bend up tone 3 times and hold 12, release, a whole lot of commands and instructions over there. All that's basically happening is you're starting on the 4th string, fret 12. Notice I'm using my 3rd finger for support, and I'm bending with fingers 1 and 2 as well. So I'm using a lot of support there to make sure this note works well, because I have to bend it, or pick it once rather, and I'm going to just show you the left hand as well, so you can see picking and fretting hands. And you can see I'm playing that. I'm getting 3 bends on only 1 pick. One more time. First bend, second bend, third bend. And again you can see those fingers holding onto those strings to make them nice and quiet. And the thumb, again, if you look carefully, touching the string. I'm tapping it now. Keeps your guitar quiet. Now once I've done that, okay, focus more on here again. Once I've done the 3rd bend, I keep it there. 1, 2, 3. And I bring the pinky in under the 3rd finger, which is still bent up. Okay, I shouldn't have released there. I pick that 12, which is now on the 3rd string. I come back to the bent string, pull it back to normal or release it, and onto the 10. So here comes super slow motion. I'm just going to get a bit of a better angle over here with it over here. Maybe something like this might actually be quite cool to see it. Here we go. And you can hear the 2 notes ringing there. We actually want that, so you want to get that nice little dissonance sort of coming as it unbends itself over there. One more time from a different angle. 2, 3, 4, 1. And the last phrase now is going to be quite a nice easy one. I think the 3rd phrase is the most sneaky, because those bends can easily be not bent to the correct pitch or overbent, and that would sound quite bad. Last phrase. Now it's not indicated on the tab, but try doing a pull-off from the 12 to the 10 and slide back to the 9. So you're only plucking once, you can see it there. And you're getting 3 notes. One more time, with a different angle. Go on to the 5th string, picking all the notes, 12, 11, 12, and then slide up to the 14th fret and finish the phrase off. What we're going to do to close off before we do the chords is I'm going to play through one more time the whole way through. I'm going to count in and see if you can play with me. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. And now, acoustic guitar, just to show the phrase works just as well on acoustic. Obviously a different sound, different vibe, but it sounds cool. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. And you'll notice the bend over there takes the strings right off the neck as well, so it's quite a big bend for that one. But sounds just as cool on acoustic. We're now going to switch back to electric, and we're going to look at the chords.